Beyond the studio and business, Cecil is a teacher at heart who is openly passionate about the transfer of technical knowledge as well as soft skills to burgeoning architects, for which I would say I'm one of them. I'm a product of his office. His interest to provide a well-rounded, yet out-of-the-box solution-focused consultancy for his clients and projects led to his pursuit of an MBA in strategy with the China-Europe International Business School and had further education in the exclusive Stanford Seed Transformation Program. Cecil is an avid sportsman with love for basketball. He was a silver medalist coach for Accra Under-17 tournament and on gold medalist team for the Inter-University Games of 2000. He has brought his coaching into his professional life as he continues on the path to inspire and influence his firm and the next generation of architects to excellence to win more academic and professional, local and international awards. He is married to his greatest fan, Na Desia, and children, Naami, Ni Abe, as his resident architectural critics. As a frequent traveler, he considers himself a perpetual student of architecture and excitedly looks forward to exhibiting the hand of God on his next project. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome architect Cecil Anete Abe.
Apologies. Oko, please. Apologies. I thought we were presenting on the metaverse, so sorry about that. I'm honored to make this presentation, and I must thank you all for your presence. Honorable Gisela Tete, it's good to see you. Thanks for all your wide words of wisdom. My president, Ivan Zanfo, as I listened to your speech, I kept on editing mine. Fellow colleagues, I stand once again very honored to address you on the future of the Institute and architecture in Ghana in person. I appreciate your laughter and your smiles. And it was just a while back ago that in a similar AGM, possibly AGM 1992, that if Oti Ajiman, the president at the time, had made a similar entrance with a mobile phone as his gadget for delivery, he would have received the same reaction. But today, no one is laughing. And just last year, I met a client at African Regent Hotel, a Ghanaian client. And when we met, he said, Cecil, why are we here? Why are we here? We could have met on the metaverse. And I said, the meta what? He said, the metaverse, yes. If we had an Oculus, you could have done this. All this thing, we could have done it on Microsoft Mesh. I was shocked. And this was a 65-year-old Ghanaian. What would the 20-year-olds be asking for? So in this light, I have come to ready myself with the metaverse. We started out with mobile phones. Today I'm wearing Oculus. Looks like a joke. 2052, what will we be wearing? Glasses? So I know that in 2052, just when I had started taking professional pictures of myself for Facebook, I now have to create an avatar of myself. So the avatar you see is Cecil 2052. It sounds interesting and funny, but someone is taking that seriously. Zuckerberg, He has created an avatar for himself. He's going on the metaverse. He says he's now becoming what? Meta, not Facebook anymore. My dear colleagues, the future is upon us, and daily do we see strides in life, technology, thought, and politics that we never thought would come so fast. Every day I'm reminded how fast change is occurring, and how a simple legislation and rezoning can totally wipe out any thought of you being a futuristic architect. This is a building in airport. It was built in airport 2006, and I know the architect. And I know at the time he thought he was a pioneer on the road. He was the first one to build 4 levels of an apartment block, broke down an old building amidst a lot of strife and the like, and neighborhood concern and AMA and, so much turmoil. The building eventually came up. Many years down the line, that's the building. And it's not a tall story building, it's the building in the corner. Same road. That architect thought he was futuristic, he thought he was thinking far. Incidentally, that architect was me. And today I drive around Accra and I see buildings that were put up 15 years ago, 20 years ago, earmarked for demolition. It's changing so fast. Formerly, they told us that 50 years and everything changes. Now, 15 years, things are changing. My fellow colleagues, let's take a sneak peek into the future, 2052, and look into the life of an average Ghanaian architect. Your firm has had to borrow a private jet from one of its sister firms to travel to Egypt because yours has gone for servicing. Together with a few colleagues, it's the first time you have been able to attend a rare in-person meeting for this year's prestigious Global Architects Award. You anticipate victory for some of your collaborations that you have been involved in. A 5-acre underground eco-bunker you did in the north of Mali. As the plane takes off, your virtual assistant reminds you that today is the final decision date on the A-levy rate, the architect's levy. Due to the past radical transformation in the Ghana built environment and the excellence of Ghanaian architects at home and abroad, Ghanaian architects have been inundated with work from all over the globe. In this light, the tax authorities of the day have had to restructure their tax bracket and appreciate how to tax architects for living locally but working globally. Is this tax rate on cryptocurrency the same as physical currency, your accountant asks? After a pleasant ride, you receive a text from your lawyer in Switzerland asking for more code and ethics information towards your defense against a client suit in Japan, saying that although your project met the standards in wellness design, 2 people have said your design was culturally insensitive and agitated by the beauty of it. Can you imagine? All die be die. You remember one past president's phrase. So that's what happens when we're able to create this in Ghana. Tamale 2022, will we be able to create this 2052? These are some of the questions that we have to ask ourselves. We're definitely in an era of mega, and there are some predictions about mega. They say that populations are expected to grow from 7 billion to 9.9 billion in 30 years. Cities that are now 4.3 billion inhabited and represent 55% will add 2.5 billion people more to represent 75% of people living in cities. Resources, they say if we continue, resources will run out in 20 years, and we have to colonize planets. There's a reason why people are rushing to space, isn't it? Climate, global greenhouse gas emissions projected to increase by 50%. Role of the private sector will be influential and provide almost 90% of jobs in the world. Definition of health will be healthy buildings and healthy people. Buildings, no more rigid structures, but adaptable spaces without significant building modification. Work, a global competition for talent and the rise of the gig economy of flex time and work from anywhere. Technology, industrial robots, artificial intelligence, and machine learning values focus on ESGs, environmental, societal, and governance issues. If I make a mistake with English, remember that I'm an architect, I'm not an English major. At the epicenter of all this are buildings, how they are constructed, how they are designed, and the effect they have on the climate. So this period offers us mega opportunities and mega challenges. Another project, NEOM, started not too long ago, and the state of Saudi Arabia has already pledged, 500 billion for it. And they want, artificial rain, an artificial moon, dinosaurs, robotic maid servants, and that's it. And they're building it. It all seems amazing that, are we really in this time? But more and more we see that, yes, that's what's happening. So these mega changes are happening, and they're happening all over the globe. Hopefully, my presentation will serve as an initiator of further dialogue into the future. Technology will creep into our lives whether we like it or not, but it's rather our mindset and positioning that has to be prepared to harness all the opportunities. As your architects, I'll do my best to present a sketch design, and you can go home and do the working drawings yourselves. Yeah. So the future is a limitless place of imagination and possibilities. So for this short presentation, once again, a true architect, I developed a concept to restrain myself to speak along a few points that are covered by the name Future GIA. And that's, my concept is Future GIA. So I'm sounding a call to arms for the Future GIA. The first one, fellows. If you went to tech, you say charge. But there's a different kind of fellows. And the first one is fellows demystified. I listened to President Evans' presentation, and I said, you don't know what I have coming for you. And I resonated with it. For me, fellows and past executives represent an illustrious group within our institute, and we believe you have a duty to share your rich experience now rather than later. You have to take the lead to be demystified and empty yourselves of all your experiences. You have to be recorded, interviewed, and books written about you. We know that history repeats itself. And so you can't silently watch us battle, with battles that you have already fought, and only tell us about them when we come to you with our wounds. All past presidents must be mandated to write a book about their lives and their time in office, starting with our Honorable SM Korte. I feel very passionate about this demystification and appreciate that a lot can be built up on this aspiration. I went to the GIA website. I counted 24 or so presidents. There was only one that had a Wikipedia about him. The rest, nothing. But today I learned that you got the Frank Lloyd Wright Award, and I know tidbits of what you've done. I feel that is something that we have to look into. So it's your call to arms to also write books that will inspire a Ghanaian, Odate, or Akosua to do architecture and change the world. The living legend in architecture, Tado Ando, he just saw a book when he was 16 of Le Corbusier, and the rest is history. So how many more people can we influence, Honorable, with your story when you leave office? Or President SM Korte, your style and your way. The next one is unanimous involvement and participation. We always talk about architects, but we are more than just, the institute is made up of more stakeholders. And once again, my senior past colleague and president said similar things, that we need unanimous support for the GIA as an unbiased institution that is in place to support our changing needs in this era of constant change and complexity, and a watchdog for its members over its affairs. We have to be ready to face the harshest adherence to professional standards, expectations, and receive constructive criticism in-house. That will save us against the perils as we shine to the outside world. Criticisms within our ranks will allow us to be built to our best and protect us from becoming victims. when you look at two athletes, there are different training requirements for an Olympic athlete and a local athlete. Some in the institute want to be local champions, some want to be global. If we mention institutes that we admire, RIBA is more or less the first one that we'll talk about. The harshest standards, adherence, and that's why they can be exported all over the world, global. Anytime a British architect shows up and says RIBA is respected, are we also going to think that way going into 2052? So our value contributions and our relevance as Ghanaian architects and the Institute must be unanimous, all-encompassing, and must never take for granted to deliver our mandate. Technology, technology, technology. 2052, and Mr. President Evans, I know you said 60 years, but I'm trying to do 30 years because I want to be around, in the next 30 years. So, artificial intelligence. I'm sorry. 60s. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, immersive technology, augmented reality are some of the realities that technology will bring. There's land for sale on the metaverse. There's a 3D city. There are 3D cities, really. Digital currency, bitcoins, NFTs. The presentation of tomorrow will involve AI, robots, holograms, simulations, all sorts. Your client will come to you and say, okay, this is the avatar of my family or my corporate structure, or the people who use the building, can you simulate a movie for us? And we'll watch how we interact within the space and the like to understand you better. This Oculus will be played by children. Drones. Now all sorts of 5-year-olds are playing with drones. Technology is coming much, much faster than we imagined. And it's for us to embrace it. Imagination is key, and our future as design professionals will definitely change and allow us to retell old stories in different ways. Some of you will now become virtual tour guides in Ghana. Maybe some high schoolers from rural Idaho Architecture School. You lead them through the sights and sounds of Mokola Market, take a lunch break in the tranquil environment of Ibri, and complete the day walking through Yana's Palace. The opportunities are endless. That's the future. With the proliferation of low-cost wearable technologies, our clients, who are becoming more and more knowledgeable, can also check the performance of a building and determine whether your brief has met their standards or not. So knowledge will be used for us and against us. The call to arms is to place technology highly as a standard in our service delivery and look for strategic ways to be abreast with the times, irrespective of the costs involved. Our conditions of engagement must reflect the new norms in service delivery and appreciate the new demands of our service that technology brings. Architects must seize the moment and start designing intelligent buildings that respond to the environment and space. They must be more daring, more daring, venturing into edgier, imaginative realms that transcend that production of space and material experience. The world keeps on asking for more when it gets to technology. Just when you think that you've got enough, then we ask for more. And we're all like that. We're all very impatient with life as it is. We keep on asking for more from our mobile phones. Mine is a camera, it's a recorder, it's a this, iPhone 3, iPhone 13, 14, 15, XL. But when the spotlight is put on us and our service delivery, then we start to shy away. But that's what technology is there for. You're supposed to use that as a tool. So we have to be more daring going forward and come away from the norms. Are you going to be an architect also going to design some of the dinosaur enclosures for the Neom city in Dubai? So with that, we need unlimited, uninhibited, unimpeded understanding of our profession. The depth of our understanding must be deepened to prepare for the innovations to come. There's always this talk about competition and barriers to entry from other people into Ghana and how they're taking our jobs and the like, but when your understanding is deepened, there's no fear about competition. And I think Honorable Gisela mentioned it earlier when she said, yes, when you have the right solutions, when you show that you really understand what you are professing, you'll be listened to. But when you seem shallow, weak, copycat, it won't happen. So in this world of technology and so many innovations, there's a demand on us, on society, for architects to provide solutions to changing life's demands. We are being asked to be more than architects. We are demanded to be abreast and integrated with other allied professionals as we deliver holistic solutions that tick the boxes of expectations. A case in point, designing for mental health and well-being. My dad was a psychiatrist. I never imagined that I'll have to go and speak to him and say, okay, Daddy, how does a building affect mental health and so on and so forth? But today, we realize that that is what is being asked of us. Architecture has transcended just the provision of a roof over your head, and we're being asked to be more in depth. So, there must be virtual public engagement in our projects to boost that transparency, trust, and to benefit the general public in years to come. We need to explore various niches in architecture and how we can establish ourselves as authorities in various fields as global trends move towards specialized design. R, we had relevant research and design and development. And once again, Mr. President said it. We must encourage the sponsorship and support of research and development in architecture. And architects who choose to enter this same profession must be encouraged and recognized for their contributions. We have a wealth of research, but possibly we have failed to bring them together. Books, journals, and findings must be publicized to inform a relying public and design practitioners on new analysis and new findings that pertain. It is through that research that solutions will be found to future problems and mistakes of the past will not be repeated. A case in point is the current trends in flooding. Everybody's talking about flooding. And when you send the pictures, now it seems to be a norm. People laugh about them. People make jokes about them. But it's like we've accepted that, Accra floods. And sadly, I was looking through graphic, a 50-year celebration, and I saw 50 years ago. Tony, you will know. 1960-something, Accra floods. It seems as if we've accepted it. But interestingly, people are saying that the floods are due to a mixture of traditional, societal, political, changing lifestyle issues that have occurred over the years and built up. However, climate change and rising sea levels are a major concern of the future, and floods happening both locally and globally are partly in consequence of the changes in weather pattern. This discussion is lost, and some try to make it a political thing. It's only architects with our mindset and our holistic appreciation of life and the world that we can bring these things up so that we look at holistic solutions. So it's through this research that the Ghanaian architect can stay relevant and competitive. And after this research is done, we have to prepare to develop our firms from the one-man business into fully integrated firms with allied professionals that will give a multidisciplinary approach with integrated and licensed software that will allow for the seamless support and delivery of solutions to many of these challenges we face in Ghana and the African continent. I was doing a project in Senchi, and two projects side by side. Senchi is by the lake, and we wanted to site our building. One client on the left said he had lost a property in Pram Pram before because of the rising sea, the tide. So he was wondering what would happen in that place. A friend came over, took some drone shots, and they predicted the weather pattern and the drainage and all sorts for the next 40 years. And we need these kind of integrations to be able to do our work well. With all respect to who we are and how we practice, we seem to be a bit narrow-minded, as the years have gone by. And it comes from also the amazing foundation that was set by our leaders. Architects were held in high esteem. In the past, they were seen as prophets, they were seen as priests. So they were in a rarefied space. But now we have to allow for that inclusion from all these allied bodies so that we can come up with our holistic submissions to bring about our solutions. We cannot stop at identifying the issues, but we must be a respected body of knowledge that has the analysis, data, facts, and figures, and is ready and prepared to solve them holistically. We must be a clear voice of solutions as we contribute to nation building. Education, academic, professional, and societal. There are all sorts of branches in architecture that are opening up with new demands on personnel and requirements. We need to be actively involved in the curriculum. At this juncture, let me give an idea of the syllabus of the future, called from topics that have been featuring at various institutes around the world. Spatial justice, accessibility, and sustainability, wellness and mental health, carbon footprint and healthy buildings, impactful building, adaptability of building, and resilience of spaces, smart cities, homes, cars, and smart integration, climate change adaptation, design, energy simulation, zero carbon buildings and campuses, climate adaptation and regenerative cities, renewable materials and energy resource efficient design, creating safer communities, trauma-informed design, firm insurances, healthcare, pension, and legacy planning, how to design in foreign countries, which was interesting, health challenges for the modern-day architect, extreme architecture and integral design in extreme environments. Did any of you do this in school? Or those in school, Central, I heard there was some Central. Are you doing that in school? These are the topics that practitioners, professionals are talking about. Architects all over the world are relying on their institutes to be cutting edge and ahead of the curve in information. Will we be getting architects to fill these demands going forward, these demands on us from society and our calling? Our institute has the unique opportunity to maintain the dialogue going forward, and continuous education must be greatly encouraged, targeted, relevant, and delivered at every opportunity. The institute must continue to look for resource people amongst its ranks and beyond to keep us abreast in this ever-changing world of service delivery. It's impossible for one firm to have experience across all these kind of topics, and these are just a few. And it must further continue to expand its wealth of knowledge with libraries, data, and the periodic journals of information. When I saw the library, I said, Ivan said it. So for me, as I was listening to President speak, I was just saying this seems to be a time from the past, appreciation of the present, and just a repetition of what we started out with, what we thought about when the institute was being made. And before this presentation, I tried to speak with President Evans. I wasn't able to. And it's just humbled me and surprised me how we have resonated on what we're talking about. Ghana, our beloved motherland. I thought the speaker gets water or something. There's no water on the metaverse. Ghana. We must become Ghana experts. And I like the term bankers use, KYC. My sister is a banker. KYC, know your client, know your client. And we must appreciate how culture and society is changing due to technology. We need more appreciation and understanding of how much the Ghanaian local and in the diaspora has evolved and will keep evolving going into the future. We must respond in that light and not be limited in our assumptions of our clients. The elderly lady in the north is as conversant with a touchscreen iPad. Thank you very much. As an executive in Accra, and she's also looking forward to interactive walls to be installed in her hut one day. Accra is not Ghana. But much more, we must seek to be experts in this beautiful country and its people and tell our own story. This next AGM must be elsewhere. I think, Evans, once again, it's like I'm copying your presentation. But you said it, you touched on it as well. We should go around. The fact that we don't have architects in Tamale, or just for an example, or any other region for that matter, doesn't mean we can't go there and organize a meeting like this. A lot more architects know Accra, New York, or Accra, London than Ghana. We feel we know Ghanaians, but every time we are surprised at what so-called internationals and outsiders introduce onto the market and Ghanaians accept, and we say, oh, we didn't know, we didn't think. So after 60 years as architects, it's for us to reevaluate whether we really understand our clients and we know our country. There are amazing places in Ghana, and it's sad to go to some remote parts and the only architect that has been there is a foreigner. Books have been written about Ghana. We're not part of that dialogue. So, the unique Ghanaian identity must not be lost into the future. We must preserve and integrate it going forward, enhance and not destroy our heritage. We must also appreciate the evolution and growing knowledge of the Ghanaian client and the unique solutions to their problems. Internationally inspired, but culturally sensitive. Technology now exists to translate all our concepts and ideas into local languages and increase our profession's relevance. You know, that seems to be one of the barriers, that architects may be elitist, we are taught in English, we can't go down to the local level. And once again, it goes to understanding. If we are positioned in that way, we'll be limited in our scope of work. And are we working only in Ghana? Won't we be working in Ivory Coast or in Congo? Won't we go back to Liberia, Sierra Leone? Because of technology, we don't have a barrier with language anymore. But charity begins at home. So let's reawaken our specialization in our client, Ghana. We have to be intentional in having an international mindset and integration with the community. Like I shared in our dream of the average client, average architect, you are living locally, but you are working globally. And global thinking with empathy with our environment and our culture. We have to engage with the larger world through collaboration and strategic alliances. What is our global positioning and our unique selling proposition as Ghanaian architects? Are we also going to be known as a Ghanaian architect? We practice architecture with hospitality and then we smile. Is that what we're known for? Ghana, the land of hospitality, then architects, hospitality. Or we are known for much more. I was talking to a Singaporean counterpart, and he said, so you know us, we have the lowest cost and the highest level of specification and technical skills on any project. That's why we work around the world. How are we positioning ourselves? Live local but think global is what is expected from our clients. The world wants to see Ghana and how Africa influences our architecture, not a bad imitation of other countries. They want to understand the logic behind building in clay, why we employ courtyards in our traditional designs, the influences that history has had on our architecture and society. Aside from that, We need to clearly let the world know we are ready for international standards in our work. We will not be accepted at the global stage if we fail to do so. With increased globalization and importation around the world, engaging in numerous competitions around the world opens an avenue for us to showcase our projects through digital technologies, digital renditions, and 3D animation, and also push that unique cultural influence. This will definitely boost the image of Ghanaian architects in the global market. And the participation of exhibitions, competitions, and conferences must not be or cannot be overemphasized in this light. And we must be visible, and our voices must be loud and clear. So going forward, we need a unique selling proposition when it comes to the international scene. The Ghanaian architect has to be positioned as an exportable commodity of excellence going forward across the country, across the continent, and even the world. There are institutes and there are people and there are professionals that are known for, when you want project managers, go to these guys. When you want detail, go to this. When you want construction excellence, what are we being known for? It's heartwarming to know that we started at the top. Are we still there internationally? I'm on to my last A. Now we spelled future GIA, awards and recognition. I was told by one lawyer some time ago, he said, Cecil, if thou sayest not, I am, who will say you are? We have to recognize effort amongst us with awards. We have to recognize talent of young and old students, practitioners, our collaborators. If we do not record our excellence, what benchmark are we setting for future architects to follow? Sorry. So there's a list of awards that I listed out. And these are all, hopefully they'll come before 2052. But you can have a look at some of them. Some of them are President of Ghana Award for Architecture, President of GIA Student Award, the Annual Regional Architecture Prize, the Usu Ado Award in Architecture, the Jonah Award in Architecture, the Small Firm Award, the Large Firm Award, Developer of the Year Award, Contractor of the Year Award, Client of the Year Award, GIA Engineer of the Year Award, Architect of the Year Award, GIA Impact Award. Are we afraid to award, to see excellence in the things we say and do? Are we afraid to project it out there? Are we trying to tell everybody that we're one and all the same, that the worst of us can be equal to the best of us? It's interesting that the first president of the Ghana Institute of Architects was Theodore Clark, 1909 to 1965. And it said, he was the first formally trained, professionally certified Ghanaian architect and an award-winning urban planner who designed and planned and developed the harbor city of Tema. He won the Ratsland Prize. The other 23, nothing. It's just like their presidents, which I know is not true. It's totally not true, but it's not documented. It's not there for us to be inspired by. So we must look into this. And so with this last call to arms, I'll respectfully break protocol and ask Julian for my books. It's rather David, so that no one calls you Julian. I'll respectfully break protocol, and in the spirit of practicing what I preach, I'll present 3 awards. The first award is to, and no one is supposed to come. The first award is, so this is the Abbey Award, the Abbey Architecture Award. It's to my firm for supporting me all these years. You guys are great. So that's third place. Second place is to my current president's brother and friend, SM Korte. I think he should be known as a pandemic president for an excellent job and still maintaining his swag throughout all this time. And with this last award, I would like to make to someone who I've watched grow into what he dreamt of becoming, and yet despite his aspirations, humbly serve at the expense of personal and professional loss. In recent times, he has made such significant strides in the Institute, and without him, I doubt I would even be allowed to consider going on to the metaverse. Without much ado, I will call on the stage Augustine Richardson. Please come up and receive the Cecil Abbey Architect of the Year Award. And for me, it's that easy. There's institute level, there's local level. The young people around you, around the auditorium today, nothing stops you from cornering architect Tony and saying that, can we have lunch? We've gone through your website. We want to award you as a Tema champion in architecture. But we can't keep silent about excellence. We keep on referring to RIBA. And when you go to the RIBA website, awards, every year. Our clients can't just think that, oh, architect, you went to tech, that's all. Or now it's central, No. So we have to look into that. My dear colleagues, there are many questions to be asked going forward. And okay, you can add this to your resume that you want. There are many questions to be asked going forward, and the key issue worth highlighting is this, and this to all of us. How do we combine the meticulous attention to detail and the experience of the older generation on one hand with the innovation, enthusiasm, and technological advantages of the new generation? How do we do that? Do we see ourselves as a shining light of hope to transform our built environment that is seen in the work we do, sensitive, engaged, and appreciative of our fellow Ghanaians as we deliver our projects? Are we positioned well enough for that? Do we gain space at the table? Do we go to the forefront of the African Renaissance when it comes to the continent once again? We start, and then we stop and lag behind and allow others to take over and just sit back looking? Those of the past and we of the present, we would like to say that, yes, we are stating our claim. But what happens to the future? Those of you in the future, can you promise that in the next 30 years, you'll be here? And I see a lot of faces looking at me and planning to ask questions and writing things down. David, you can't ask any questions. But all I have to say is this. The only way to define the future is to create it. That was said by Lincoln. So it's not for me to tell you. It's for us to decide this is what we want. These are the dreams we have. These are the aspirations. And to create it. Like people in Saudi Arabia or Dubai. I'm sure majority of you have been to Dubai. Created in 30 years from sand. And today, you're all going to take selfies there. Are we also going to boldly say the same? Or will be apologetic about it? We won't dream. We won't be edge. We won't think out of the box. And that's another thing for your generation. There's no more out of the box thinking. You don't make that statement anymore. You replace the box. That's your generation. You replace it. And I make a call to the young architects of today. You know, we have run the race, and it was at this point that I knew that this presentation had transcended just reading and writing and research. Evans mentioned the baton race. He said that it's a baton race. And it's the same thing I'm also going to say. It's a baton race. The past has run, set the foundations. The present appreciated its limitations, but still moving on. The future, we have planned it, we have dreamt it, and we're passing it on to another generation. It's interesting that he said it, but I actually brought a baton. And that's what we want to say. We want to dream. I actually brought a baton because this is how I see it. The picture you have here is someone you all know, Usain Bolt. Now I'm digressing a bit, but I like sports. Usain Bolt is 6'5". He's a basketball. He has a basketball height. You know, he defies the traditional 100-meter athlete. 6'5". When everyone is serious and focused and thinking about how to, psych themselves, he's fooling around and joking, and you all know the antics he does. But what does he do? He breaks records. So this guy, who doesn't look like the guy who should be a 100-meter champion and even break records or behave like one, he does. And you all know what happens when he takes the baton. So I ask all you young people, when we pass you that baton, will you also break the records? You don't look like the Honorable President Ivan Zamfun. The graceful, Honorable Gisela. You look like things we've never seen before. But it's possible you will break the records. You will take that baton and run. And that's the belief and hope that we have for you. So today, I stand in the footsteps of many before me. Evans, I keep on mentioning, SM is a brother. Eso Afram, my professor, there's never a day I don't remember him. And countless many of you who have worked with me, worked for me, collaborated with me, and influenced me. I even have my sister in the audience who held my hand to tech 30 years ago. There's an African proverb which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the youth, I'll end with this. This is breaking news in the UK, 12th April 2022. And after 1908, 1900, 100, after 122 years, the British have allowed for the signage at one of their tube stations, Westminster, to be changed. And who changed it? Larry Achampong, Ghanaian. What did he change it with? Ghana colors and black stars, and he said, yes, 54 countries in Westminster, and they loved it. He didn't imitate the British. He didn't imitate the French. Ghanaian. Rasta. Architect. Achampong. And they've accepted it. Doesn't it come the same way with our architecture? Can't we resonate with that? So, in that light, I charge that after 60 years, there has to be a change. It may be your rule, but I think we have to make a change. All the multi-billion-dollar companies in the world are making changes to tell people that we have a new brand identity. We have a new way of looking at the world. We have a new way at engaging. So we thank those of 1962 for their logo, but for me, that's where it starts. So, my dear colleagues, the future is exciting, and we can meet this future squarely together. Let us once again appreciate the efforts of the past, the present, and the future initiatives that the GIA has achieved. Let's build on it. Let's associate with it. Let's dream about it. And with that spirit of positivity and belief that daily we give to our clients. Every day our clients come to us, I always say, with plain paper. And we dream, and one day the building is up. It's time to apply that capability to ourselves. And without a doubt, whether in person, virtual, or in the metaverse, together we can and we will go very, very far. May God bless the GIA. May God bless Ghana and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Very insightful as usual. And the key word is as usual. Another round of applause for my boss.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so now the prophet has spoken.
Oh, please.
At a point, I wanted to say, Osofo, Shenkom, continue. Now it's offertory time. But
Yes.
we'll
Yes,
first
I
like
second that. Yes. Yes.
we'll first like to take your questions before we move to the offertory session. Yeah, so please, the microphone, please, for, I think the students want the first go, the future leaders.
Please, my name is Stanley Shamo Abe, and thank you for the presentation. My question is, when you were talking earlier, you said something interesting. You said the metaverse, we say that when AIs are created, you say they will take our jobs and we will not be having any jobs to do. So I was thinking that a question popped in mind that, what if an architect who later studied into AI development created an AI that thinks and creates like he does, and he mass-produced it? Wouldn't that mean that the AI is taking our job from us? Because with our current condition in Ghana, even draftsmen are even drawing plans for our clients, and they are not coming to architects. So what if he mass-produce that kind of that AI? That means we are not actually having a job to do anymore. Thank you.
So what you're asking is, what would happen if that? I've been watching Hollywood films or yeah. What would happen? And we'll be replaced. So now it's the era of being multi-talented. It's interesting that in the Renaissance era, somebody like Leonardo da Vinci, he was an architect, he was a doctor, he was a philosopher, he was a sculptor, he was so many things. And architects, arguably, are very intelligent people who have so many capabilities. And from time immemorial, you've had to be at the top of, the delivery. But along the years, we've been narrowed down. Going forward, I don't think your generation will just be purely giving one service delivery. I'm an architect, and that's all. There'll be architect and something else. And as we look at the trends, electric cars, they're coming to replace petrol. Whilst the electric cars are growing in acceptance, the petrol guys are also thinking. So we all have to keep on thinking. It's a very dynamic thing. There are all sorts of companies that were relevant 10 years ago. Today, they're not relevant, or they've gone into something else. Samsung started out selling vegetables. Then they went to clothes. Today, they're doing phones, appliances. So we all have to keep on moving. You don't leave school and say, I was trained as an architect, and that's it. I'm not evolving. And that's the key word, evolution. So I hope it gives you some answer. You have to think about these threats to yourself and start preparing for them ahead of time. Because there are people thinking, just like you're saying, how can we get rid of all the architects? How can we get rid of all the doctors, all the lawyers? Everybody's under that threat through technology, AI. You understand? So, Mr. Abe, you're my namesake. Let's keep on thinking.
Okay, so we face the threat of being replaced by AI, the very thing we are walking into. Okay, please take the next question.
Thank you very much. My name is Odoko Olaito. Amazing presentation. Recently, I've been watching different things on the internet about the metaverse and then the future of architects and architecture. And then I wanted to ask you, listed some few future topics that people now consider. And then I wanted to find out, considering the case here in Ghana, for example, KNUST and Central are the only two universities that have architecture. And if that's the case, which means in years to come, most of the majority of the architects that will be in Ghana come from KNUST and Central, and these two universities do not offer these topics that you have said, and then we are supposed to be the future architects. So how is it possible, like how can they be implemented in what we are studying? So, because we are already far behind. So is there any way that it can now be implemented in our study to what you're saying?
Yes, that's a good question. I tried to touch on the fact that the GIA has to be more involved in the curriculum, setting it, whether at government level, or in the university level, and be able to have sway on the syllabus. But one thing I tell a lot of students who are asking about teaching, I mentioned him in the beginning. I talked about Tado Ando, that at 16 years old, he decided to become an architect. He self-trained. He didn't go to school. He self-trained for 6 years. He didn't go to any school. He just went around learning. And now he's the only living legend in architecture. He's won all the major awards in architecture, self-trained. So education opens your mind. It tells you that you can think, you can chew, you can pour. The rest is really up to you. Today, you have the same opportunity as somebody in a village in Bangladesh because you have internet. You have access to the notes that Harvard students have. So as a student, you cannot say you are waiting. That word should leave your mouth, that we are waiting, we are far behind. Far behind from whom? Nobody is stopping you. There's no limit. And it's an exciting era you're in. I mean, there's so many stories of students, and they do something, and on Instagram, the next moment, the next time, they're viral. When you get viral publicity, will you say, wait, I'm still in school? You won't. You take the opportunity and run. So we appreciate that, yes, the world is changing, very fast-paced, and some of the things that have to be learned, have to be supported with other things and other fields and other professionals. So it's not just that simple, but you have to also take hold of that power of the internet. Where we needed libraries, physical, you have the phone, you have the internet. So you also have to create your own syllabus based on your interests. It's hard. I know it's easier for a teacher to come and say, we are learning this, but that's what you have to do. That's the era we're in.
Nice one. Action Lady, she's asking, when are we starting? I'm sure the incoming president has heard. And yesterday, with our talk on collaboration with reps from the KNUST and Central, I'm sure we'll be doing something. So it's a first request to the incoming council, so I'm sure he will do something about it. Any more questions? Okay.
I'm architect Anaglate. First of all, I want to say yours was very inspiring, very wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
But I just want to say you left out something very, very small. And that's something I think for the future, which is happening today, is that we'll be walking around with oxygen masks and carrying oxygen tanks, not because of COVID, but because we are destroying the forests around us. I think the earlier presenter did say it. And I worked in Kumasi. I was a regional engineer for PWD Ashanti and retired. And if you see the destruction of the city that we call the Garden City, the whole of the rich area is being cut down and being sold to themselves. You go to Ashtown, you go to Bantama, a forested area, you cannot see a single tree. So that day is coming in the future where we all will be walking around with oxygen masks, with carrying oxygen tanks, because we have sold the forest that take the poison and act as the cleaner for the various big cities that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful contribution. And one of the books that, the book that the Honorable Secretary got for the Abbey Award, is called Healthy Buildings: How Indoor Spaces Drive Performance and Productivity. And so exactly what you're saying. The world is realizing that, yes, we are killing ourselves, sometimes without knowing, and from even indoor spaces. You know, it goes on to talk about pollutants and even the paints that we use, dirt. There's the story that one of the owners of Google, he goes around the offices with I stand to be corrected, an atom, something to measure dirt in the air. And he goes around testing whether the environment here is clean or not. They are big on indoor environment. And one of their secrets is that they optimize their environment such that their talented people can be optimum and create all these amazing things that we use every day. So you're spot on. These things are happening at an alarming rate, and research has shown us that it seems to be so small, sometimes you will not appreciate. But scientists have said we are so interconnected that a butterfly flapping its wings in the Amazon can cause what? Yes, you know. So, someone like you, we have to target you and write your memoirs. So, next council, Fifi, please.
Yes.
Follow up.
Yes. So, Cecil took us 50 years into the future, and our senior colleague has taken us 100 years when we have used up all our resources. We will surely come to you to spearhead this fight against it.
So, Fifi, can I just add in support of what he said? So that is why when you hear the Elon Musks and the Virgin and Jeff Bezos rushing to space, it's not like they just have money. They are aware of the things you're talking about, that they say that, wow. Like I shared, they said, if we continue at this rate, we'll have to go and live on other planets. So we may be watching them and wondering. I always, whenever I'm using Google, I say, Google, crap. But Google started when the Americans started going to the moon. And we're wondering, what are they doing on the moon? But today we can say, hey, Uber, I'm going here, I'm going there. They were setting up those things.
Yes, please, let's past president have the mic. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cecil. That was an amazing presentation. I just want to comment on your last, before you presented the Abbey Awards. And, I think that recognition of work done is very important. It's said that there's no more valued reward than the recognition and congratulations of your peers, because they know the struggles you went through. They know how hard it is to put together a project of any magnitude, right? All the collaboration, all the sleepless nights. So for them to recognize that this project is worthy of elevation to a certain standard is very commendable. The converse is that there is no criticism that is harder to take than the criticism of your peers. Mm. And that is something we should learn, because I'm saying this from experience. I remember when I was organizing the first GIA Awards for excellence, right? We had, 4 or 5 different categories, and we announced the awards and the entries. If I hadn't headhunted people, we wouldn't have had any entries. Why is that? People tend to take criticism personally. They don't look at it as these are probably the merits and demerits of the projects. They look at it as this person thinks he knows more than I do, or he's better than me. And if you have that sort of a mindset, you will always be afraid to expose your work. But that is the only way you can learn. I mean, from first year, we had this culture of working together, where the science students would get help from the art students in history, and and then the art students like myself, we will go for tutorials and structures and other things. But it involves being willing to lay yourself bare and believe that having made yourself vulnerable, your professional colleague will not use it to belittle you or demean you. Yeah. So we need to change our mindset. I remember, where's Tony Gizzy? If you remember, one of the things we wanted to do when we were in council was that the last Friday of every month, we're going to turn the GIA into a social space, have somebody come and pin up the work, a project they were doing, discuss, this is what I'm doing, these are the challenges I'm having, and you share ideas and you learn and you grow together. Nobody. And until such time that we change that mindset and are willing, to admit that we don't know everything, we have failings, we have vulnerabilities, there are certain things we could have done better. It is better than any CPD you will get, talking to your peers and sharing ideas with them. So this really goes to the next generation of architects. Don't be afraid to open up yourselves and reveal your thought processes and thinking to others, and treasure their criticism the same way you will treasure their award when you get it.
Thank you very much, Past President, for rich experience. Okay, so we'll take 3 more questions. Then we move on to our offering and the next activity.
Okay. Hello, okay. So from the academic perspective, this is something I've been grappling with for a while. If you look at architecture schools around the world, I would say you could, roughly speaking, categorize them into 2 groups. There are groups who are very, maybe more like what we tend to do. Their approach is to try and prepare the architect for the office, right? So their projects are very down-to-earth, pragmatic, should I say buildable. And there are those who say we are imagining the next 1,000 years, the next 500 years. Their projects are entirely speculative. It has nothing to do with necessarily, dealing with how will a mason put this together on site tomorrow. Now, it seems to me as if, having been in the academy for a while now, we seem to be very, we have this apprehension towards projects which are, quote and unquote, impractical, and which are looking so far forward that it's not a question of how we're going to build this, or it's not a question of how is the mason going to put this together, but it's highly speculative, looking at, I know schools where, for example, they'll say, if it's not broken, break it, and it's intentional to create a free environment for you to really experiment. Given the role of experimentation in future thinking, what would be your advice? What would be your position as maybe your recommendation to those of us who are trying to train the next generation of architects? Thank you.
Well, honorable lecturers, is that something you will take? I think you have been dialoguing with the Sefa, please give him please answer the question. It's part of the award, the requirements of the Abbey Award.
Well, I think there has to be a nice balance between, if you look at the study, we have 1 to 4 being on design, and then you do the postgraduate, which begins to firm you up to understand how to do a thesis, which should still be thinking more futuristic. But just asking me, I think one of the things we have to first of all ensure is that we understand how to create a good building, how to create a building, because we are serving a society. We need to also match that, like Cecil was saying, that we have a global problem. The world is moving. It's not waiting for us. Maybe we are sitting 300 years back in our approaches, saddled with the iPhone, saddled with metaverse and, all of those things. But yet, we need to sort of be catching up, solving one issue and yet thinking forward. So if you ask me, I would say it has to be a measure between the 2. There has to be practical classes that help you to put brick and mortar together and to understand how buildings come together. And then yet, there also has to be an approach that allows you to think very laterally and very fluidly. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it has to be a nice balance. The teacher of today has to be very versatile. And I think what Cecil said is very true. For students, if you assume that your lecturers are going to teach you everything, then I don't know what schools you are in. That's not the education. The university is not a primary school or a secondary school. It's a place to discover the truth. And the truth is global. It's not in your classroom. In fact, you have to question your lecturers. What your lecturer says is not sacrosanct. I'm sorry. It's his perspective of the issue. And if you have new ways of thinking, that sharing must happen. You know, so I think it's a measure between the lecturers being very open to this discussion of thinking plastically and yet dealing with the realities of how things are done. And you know, that's my response to what I think academia should be sort of championing. So I hope that helps answer your question.
A round of applause for him, please.
You understand why you got the award.
All right, okay. Yeah, so let me just add a bit to what he said. I think the universities should look at their policies. Situations whereby they only look for PhD holders to come and teach professional courses. You mentioned the developed countries. You see, I had the opportunity to visit the head of Department of Architecture, University of Hong Kong, in 1999. He was the head of department, he had a private office, and he had an employee headcount of up to 100. I had that opportunity because my former boss, may his soul rest in peace, was in school with him, School of Architecture in Canada with him. So when I was going to Hong Kong, he was like, so if tech can say, this is professional course, let the practitioners come and, what's it called, hold hands with the PhD holders and train. It's about training. Thank you.
It's not as easy as that. The university has statutes and so on and so forth. This discussion has been ongoing, you know, and you find that at the academic board level and so on, we are arguing from a professional point of view, and somebody who's teaching, you know, history and this is, you know, they just don't see where you are coming from, and they don't see why you should be treated differently. But I know that the doctors managed to make a case, and we are making slow progress in that direction, but it's not something which will happen overnight, because it's not as easy as that. I'm a university administrator's son, so I know what I'm talking about. We will get there, yes, right? But there is still a lot of advocacy to be done, you know, because there are people who will say this is best practice globally. You need a terminal degree, et cetera, et cetera. I don't agree with it, but this is the reality on the ground, and it will take, I talked about cultivating a lobby, not only politically, but sometimes academically. You need to talk to some of the people doing history and sociology and so on, and bring them around to your way of thinking. Then when it gets up there, you know, the university can choose to reverse that policy.
Very interesting presentation. The president will have a go at it. Yeah.
Right. I've been sitting and saying to myself that maybe I don't want to talk. Maybe. I mean, I should just listen. But Joe, before I make my comments, Joe, are you there? I'd like to know how many of our members are online joining in this discussion. Please, how many? What? 96. That's not bad. We can put our hands together for them. 96. It's been a very, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll say revealing is a good word. Right from the point where past President Ivan Sanfom did his presentation, Honorable Gisela, and my brother and friend Cecil. Extremely revealing. And I'm happy that we've had this opportunity to listen to this. But I need to comment about something to do with our future. And I can't let the opportunity pass by. So I hear all the comments about the future and its potential. But one phenomenon I've observed recently that I think is very dangerous for our future has been very damaging comments from some of our members. Very damaging. I mean, we are having elections. It's a body of over 1,000 members. you can't find more than 2 people interested in standing for presidency or for vice presidency, for honorary secretary. And this has been going on for a little while. Some years ago, some would have to beg people to stay in office as president because nobody was willing to even be president. Increasingly, it's coming from people feeling that I open up myself and the kind of comments, we've said that constructive criticism or even that criticism from your peers can only help you get better, but it needs to be constructive. As I stayed in power for 2 years, and tomorrow we'll be talking about some of these things, but I cannot even see how 10, 15 years ago I could speak in any manner disrespectful to somebody like Architect Ivan Sanfum, Architect Theo. I don't know. Even if I differed in opinion from them, my choice of words to them would have to be well selected. Unfortunately, it's not so as we speak these days. And I think that it threatens our future. We can continue to talk about how we want to do things, but there are many people today that, towards these elections, you ask them, they don't want to come to council. And they cite some of these things as the reason. They feel that they open themselves up for unreasonable insults. So please, I urge those online, those here, that truly we need numbers. This cannot be in person. If the Central University students were not here, imagine how many of us are here. To listen to, I've been involved in GIA, say you've done 12 years. I think that my cumulative years is probably 10 years or something like that. And I don't know half the things you shared today. And where are the members? If we take our sponsors out, take sponsors, if you can leave us now, take Central University people, leave us now. We are probably under 15 or so people here. It's not looking good for our future. It's not. Where are the Hoffman and all of the people that you spoke about who passionately worked for the Institute? They are not old. They are not on retirement. They are no more desirous to come to the Institute. They are no more desirous to be part of the way forward. And we must really rethink about this. If we don't, really, all the conversation, because the journey forward is not an individual one. It ought to be collective. The African proverb you said was what? If you want to go far, you do it alone. Fast, alone. But where's the together? So truly, as an outgoing president, I'm very worried about that aspect of our GIA. Very, very worried about it. I ceased to go on our social platform, the Telegram page, last year. Stopped going on there. And when it started, I was so excited with it. It was an opportunity for us to informally interact, discuss projects, talk about, and it's turned into another dimension completely. People don't want to bring up their works. You ask for exhibitions, hardly anybody brings their works. The next time you know, people say, yes, it's only you and your friends who exhibit your works. And you invited. Nobody brings their works. So the last time we had World Architecture Day, the people whom we know could have brought works chose also not to bring their works. They don't want people to say, because you are... It's going on for... So this is about our future. This message to everybody else here, I think we need to speak with decorum to one another. And we need to celebrate one another in a manner that truly we can take this journey together for our future. Thank you very much.
Reality check from our president. We'll take the last question from Architect Durban.
Well, it was a question, but it's going to be more of a contribution. I once walked into a client's office, and he was a lawyer, and there was a case, and he called me on it to look, and he told me that, he had an architect design his house, and he had a picture of the house, and he said, can you guess who the architect is? And I said, Cecil Abbey. Straight away, I said, Cecil Abbey. He says, oh, you know him? I said, yes, he's a good friend of mine. you know, and I know his work and his hand very, very well. And this afternoon, I've been blown away by his speech. And Cecil, I congratulate you. So to follow what President SM said, I want to tell you something about architect Cecil Abbey. One, it's true, he's a universalist. When I'm lying in my bed, I get a text from him. You bed? No, I no bed. Then we start. His passion, his enthusiasm for the profession is unrivaled. You wouldn't meet it, it's not common. And what President SM is talking about is a sort of concern. So if today he's standing here and he's talking, he's giving an opposite reflection of what the architect, the picture that architect SM is painting. Because he's interested. He has passion for it. He's interested and he loves the profession. We talk about everything about the profession. Investment, design, spirituality, how to heritage, everything that concerns the profession, architect Cecil talks about it. And I urge all of us, young and old, not to grow cold on our profession, which is what is happening now. And if this last talk we had is anything to go by, it is just telling us, giving us one message. Architect Cecil is giving us only just one message, that architecture in Ghana has a future, and it has a future beyond our shores, and we should rise up to the challenge. Thank you, SM. I salute you.
Architect Cecil, I'm sure you'd like to respond before you leave the stage.
Yeah, I appreciate all the good things said about me. Like I said, this lady held my hand to take. Some of the things I say, I learned from SM. Tony taught me how to paint watercolor. Augustine, we discussed architecture and basketball. Ivan Zamfu, you may not remember, but in 1992, a tall, at that time, lanky young man, but handsome, met you at Red Church car park, and I asked you, hello, sir, I hear you're an architect, because you're the architect at Red Church. I'm trying to get into architecture school. Is it a good profession? And you said, yes, it's good, it's good. And that was it. So for me, 30 years down the line, you've been a big brother, you've been a friend. You know, we don't get to talk as much as we should. But all I'm trying to say is that whenever I meet architects, David, like you said, we talk, Chijuku, basketball. I'm a subset of all of you. That's what I am. I'm a subset of all of you. And I'm sure all of you can also point to all the unique people and situations and experiences that make up. I think the first time I met Gisela, we were on a blind date or something, you know, and I apologized to you that I was going to Accra. So I couldn't go on the date. I said, Tell us. David, thanks again. And Fifi, you've been my right-hand man for a number of years when you were working together. And that's all we are. We are just a makeup of ourselves. Whenever we come together, we can't but be positively influenced, you know, to keep on moving into the future. And that's what we have to keep on doing. Like I'm saying nowadays, whether in person, on the phone, or the metaverse, we have to keep that collaboration. I'll say one last thing. I was a very disturbed architect because I had a lot of social problems that I thought pertained to me. And I went to visit my friend's father, architect Akita, 04. So very old, 80-something. And we spoke in the afternoon. And that's where I realized that all the issues I was going through today, as a young man, he also went through them. And I realized that, oh, so it's not about me. It's where I'm practicing, it's the profession, it's the people. So once again, I'll encourage all of us. Meeting like this is always phenomenal. And when we meet, aside from the things we say, and I'm trying to get closer to the offering, there's a spiritual connection. There's a spiritual connection that you cannot explain, but comes by like minds being together and being impacted positively. So it's sad there are negative ones around us, but I think the positivity outweighs the negativity. So on that note, thanks once again for your time and all the collaboration.
Thank you very much, Architect Cecil Abbey. I must say I'm very humbled to be on the same stage with my former boss after many years. We've achieved a lot together in practice, and we will be achieving much more for the profession as we move forward into the future as he's showed us. Another round of applause for him, please. So now that the prophet has finished speaking and we'll be doing our offertory, I would urge you to put your hands deep into your pockets. And with a sounding round of applause, let's welcome our platinum sponsor, Stone Depot, to give us a message. Stone Depot. Please, no offering, please. So those who are dipping their hands into their purses, please. Okay, Stone Depot. Okay, IT. Shall we have the Stone Depot playing? Okay. Right.
Welcome to Stone Depot, Ghana's most trusted in natural stone, custom fabrication, and distribution. We produce from premium quality marble, granite, and quartz slabs procured from around the world. Stone Depot is also proud to be the official distributor of Cosentino products in Ghana, Southstone Quartz, and Decton Ultra Compact surfaces. Our factory in Accra is geared with state-of-the-art machinery and professionals who can assist in customizing different stone shapes and sizes to suit your unique needs. We fabricate and install your unique measurements and templates exactly as you want them. Our professionals have mastered this age-old trade and guarantee the precision, quality, and beauty your project deserves. Between 2019 and 2020, we've supplied the Ghanaian market with 24,000 square meters of natural stone and created over 100 new jobs. Over the years, and with thousands of satisfied clients, Stone Depot has placed itself as the most trusted natural stone fabricator in Ghana. Our professionalism is displayed in works such as the Signature Building, the African Regent Hotel, the National Memorial Monument for the late Jerry John Rawlings, the Tribute Memorial Statue for the late Major Mahama, Imperial Homes, and Clifton Homes. At Stone Depot, we are always one step ahead when it comes to innovative trends and technological advances in the natural stone fabrication market. We were first to recently embark on the development of epoxy resin-based terrazzo slabs. We invite you to discover the endless possibilities that we have to offer for all your upcoming projects.
Okay, so we say a very big thank you to our sponsors, Stone Depot, X Interior Designs, DBS Industries Limited, Jorita Limited, Sika Chemicals Limited. Yes, and we say thank you to all of you for coming to today's event. Tomorrow we'll be having a presentation from Stone Depot. That would actually, okay, Alias, will you? Okay. All right, so tomorrow we have a presentation from Stone Depot that will show us the actual works that they do beyond the products that are being showed us here. Tomorrow, we encourage all of you to come in your numbers. We'll be having our election tomorrow, and that's the real AGM date. We also urge all those architects who are not in good standing yet to see the ladies at the front desk and then pay their subscriptions so they can vote tomorrow. If you have not sent your details to the GIA WhatsApp number, kindly do so that you receive your information for the election tomorrow. We thank you all for coming. And at this juncture, I would call on Lakwe Nate to give us a vote of thanks. Please welcome with a round of applause.
Okay, hello everybody. So this caught me by surprise, so I'll make it quick. Thank you all for coming. We thank you, Honorable Gisela. We thank you, past presidents, Evans Anfom and President SM Korte. We thank you, all the architects here and architects online. We really appreciate your presence and the time that you spent being here with us. God bless you all and go home safely. Thank you.
Another round of applause for her. Another product from Incept Architectural Consult. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and see you all tomorrow.
If you put from Messi, I may tremble. Minutes come on, boss. So any 1 year crack. Franchise in an pay. The Kaka see Uncle DBS. And I saw the banner show off as a phone. DBS for crowd in material for Faber friend. Color Link Plus. If a day is you are boss of a DBS for a boy. In a DBS in Sano. Young DBS for. They see DBS for one chance in beer. The ball dance one. Empa enubi na mepe boga no cre Color Link Plus material bia DBS akofa free Europe aba ye the ball dance wa emfedi gidia ye wo munti amount 20 years warranty 20 years warranty look me jam about ni 1 year company be se ko boss no apa afedi na sa Color Link Plus material we say so e was self cleansing properties bia insuo ta na ahokoro ne ho awo dam so a wo dam na you say DBS owo sa di pass dia me Munko to me down so. I the party about one can and carry. inform me if people from Messia, me metremu. Me this come my boss so any 1 year kra. Franchise na pay. Me di kaka cho see enko DBS. And also the banner show off as for DBS for credit material for free friend Color Link Plus. A day is you are ya boss of a DBS for the boy. Na DBS insano. Yanko DBS for no. Minia. The DBS for one chance in bia. The ball dance one empa enu bi na mepe. Boga no.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunal Ram, Director of X Interior Design Limited, specialist in drainage and bathroom solutions. Over the past 12 years, X Interior Design has successfully provided bathroom and drainage solutions on projects in industrial, residential and commercial fields all over West Africa. Our vision is to be one of the largest bathroom and drainage solution providers in the whole of West Africa. We represent global brands such as Jaqua, Oli, Glass, Akko, and Salgar. Our products are readily available in Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale, and Accra.
Jaqua is a complete bathroom solutions under one roof. We have faucets, sanitary ware, flushing systems, showers, shower enclosures, whirlpools, freestanding bathtubs, inbuilt bathtubs, spas, saunas, and steam solutions. So, this is a manhole cover. It comes in round and square. We have composite and cast iron.